Hi there, everyone. Just had my second call with Dane Miller for my coaching, and we got talking to a little, like, not what I was expecting, but we were talking about a lot of like social interaction stuff and like how to be like a great communicator with people, and we were talking about how all these skills that like apply in business apply in all other areas of your life, like health, wealth, love, and happiness. It's not just that they're separated, but they all like the sound effect that Dane said was zoop. They all like zip together, and they make each other. They build each other up. And so I wanted to share like some of the thoughts that we went through because they were very valuable to me. And I would, sorry, I'll put this on silent. And so I'm going to go through and like go through some of the. First, I'll talk about the things I can remember, and then I'll go through the notes that I took. And so like what the main things we talked about was like Dane called this a gradient, and it's like having steps of what your next step is going to be towards your next goal. So like the gradient is like you start at whatever step you are. Maybe you start at the bottom, and then like the gradient is you have one next step to step to, and it's hard to like. The gradient is you have the next step, and most people don't know what the next step is, or we don't think about what we want the next step to be. We don't think about like how we can make the next. It's not that it's complicated, it's just hard to sorry, I'm having a hard time gathering my thoughts right now, but so we're talking about steps. One step you're at. The way we look at things is we have a vision towards the top of the stairs, and that's like the amazing life that we want. And that thing at the top of the stairs is something we want, but we get confused and we don't know how to get there. And Dane was talking about the fact that confusion doesn't even exist, but it's just like I'm not sure what he was saying there, but I think what he was trying to say was that it's not that you're confused, it just is that you haven't thought of the correct steps along the way that make you go towards that vision. So you, I feel like I'm butchering this talk right now, but I'm just doing a review, so this is just trying to share with you guys here. Dane is talking about that it's extremely important to like micro goal things. So you have like micro goals, and the more you can lay out your micro goals and the more focus you put into these like micro goals, the much better it's going to be for you to be able to move up to the next step. Because if you have like the big vision at the end and you have very, very like tiny micro goals along the way that are all so achievable, like that you're not setting these impossible goals for yourself, then each time you succeed, then your brain is telling you, oh my God, look, we did it and I succeeded. And then that way you can just keep, like, there's always something where you can just build on it like a fraction of a percent better than you're doing now. That's totally possible for everybody in whatever goal it is they are. Like if it's a social interaction with if you're scared of talking to people, if you can't talk to people, then what is like the 1/10 of a percent that you can do to like improve from what you're currently doing? If you're currently doing nothing, like if I'm currently doing nothing to improve my social skills, to talk to people, like what is the bare minimum, like totally bare minimum thing that I could do? Like just go out and make eye contact with somebody. Like how many people, I mean, just if it start at the lowest, like it's so bad that I can't even make eye contact with someone, like go out and try and make eye contact with one person and then go home and say I succeeded, and then like do that for a week, and then the next week you go out and do like eye contact with two people, and then this way like it sucks kind of, because you have this big vision at the end and it feels like it's going to take like an infinite amount of time to get there. But really, like when we have these small goals, when we build on them and get momentum, it's like we can just move fast towards things that we can get where we want to go, and the time goes by and it doesn't really take that as long as we feel like it's going to take. It's just like we can totally achieve our goals. We don't have to believe that, like what we do a lot of the time is we think that we need to have big, like we want to have big goals. But the way Dain phrased this was, the difference is you have like your big goals, and then you have your big vision at the end, and the goals along the way we should think of is like the goals are like the steps that are going to get us to the vision that's at the end here. So like and we want to make those like so tiny that we can just go and step up to the next, like it's not, you can't jump up to the like if there's a big huge like staircase that's like this, this is the Empire State Building at the top, it's impossible for you to just jump all the way to the top. And a lot of the times we're not trying to jump necessarily all the way to the top, but we're trying to jump to like goals that are like way above our level. And so it's like a weightlifter trying to go in and like pump some iron, and he or she like doesn't put on 500 pounds when she's doing the first set of reps, or even like when she's going in and doing the first some people can't even lift 500, most people can't even lift 500 pounds, so you can't go in and just put 500 pounds on and expect that to be a good result. You have to incrementally go up one small plate at a time, and that's what we want to do by micro chunking our goals, is that we are sending the signal that we are getting we set a goal, and then we go out and execute on that very small goal, and it's so small that it can feel annoying to even do it because it's so small. But that way we come back home and maybe we're at home when we're doing it, and at the end of the day we look back and we say, oh look, I set a micro goal and I did it. And that is going to rewire our brain to just say like, I can keep making progress going in this direction, instead of being sporadic and not being consistent, or making like some progress and then giving up because you set too high of a goal for yourself. It's all about just doing it in small steps. And I think that's extremely important, because like in all these things, in all these goals that we have in life, it's so easy to get overwhelmed, and it makes it impossible to achieve some things. Like if you've like, what comes to mind for me currently, I'm working on a website project, and I'm having problems towards the end now, and it feels overwhelming. But it's not like it's impossible to complete this project. It's just that I've added a lot of complexity to it, and now like, how am I going to unravel that and get the project completed despite all of the complexity? I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, okay, like maybe there's a lot of things that need to be done, and it's overwhelming looking at all these parts flying around, but what can I do? What's like the one line of code that I can change to make it like 0.001% better, and then I'll just keep doing that. Like if I can change one line of code a minute, and I sit there for 8 hours in a day, it's going to undeniably get better at the end of the day. Maybe I go over my estimate, but that's like, I'm not going to sit there. I'm going to try not to sit there. And this is another thing that Dain was bringing up, was that you don't want to like sit there and worry about something. Instead, you invert and you say instead, I'm not going to be worried about not making like the project. I'm not going to worry about not finishing the project. Instead, I'm going to Like, I'm not going to be worried about not finishing the project. I'm going to instead say, how can I finish the project, or what step can I take to get a little bit closer? What he was saying there is like, you don't, if you like, you have a goal. I lost my train of thought, but we were talking about inversion and like having something that you worry about, and then you want to invert, because what Dain said is like, some psychology professor was saying that the emotion of anxiety is the same emotion as the emotion of excitement. I didn't say excitement already. The emotion of anxiety and excitement are the same. It's the same physiological response in the brain, but what is different about them is just the frame that we view each of them from. So like, physiologically, I might be feeling anxiety over something, but then really like that, if I take a step back and reframe it, that is something that I can, instead of being like a fearful negative emotion, it can be like excitement, like, oh, I'm worried that I'm not going to finish this project. Let's invert that to, I'm excited. How can I find a solution to this project? How am I going to finish the next page of this website? How am I going to complete the next page of this theme? That way, I'm not like overloading myself, and I'm not saying, oh, I'm so worried that this project is going to fail. Like, look at all these errors that I'm having. Looking at all these mistakes that I've made. Instead, I'm saying, look, I'm setting a micro goal to make this one page better. I'm excited. I'm inverting the fear. There's an ambulance going by. I'm inverting the fear of not being able to complete it to I'm now excited. I'm saying, oh, this is a challenge. Oh, this is like a test I'm taking at school. It's like I'm taking the test, and I'm excited to pass. Like, I'm not scared that, maybe a test isn't the best example, but like, you know, we have something that we're like, maybe like, I like to DJ, you know, like one of the things I could be excited about is I'm excited to find out this new method, or like improve my playlist. Like, how can I improve my playlist as a DJ? You know, there's nothing scary about that. So like, in the same sense with the project, I'm not saying, oh, I'm so scared of improving my project. Like, I'm scared I'm not going to be able to do it. And like, the fear is coming there because of like the scarcity mindset of like not having money, messing up the project, you know, like all this train of thought of fears that goes, you know, down, being homeless, you know, being suffering. It's all like stuff that is a motivator for me, but I want to not be having to be motivated by those negative emotions. I want to invert it and say, oh, I'm excited. I'm excited that I have this, even that I have this opportunity to be like, I'm working on a website right now. You know, it was like a website that it's like a $3,000 project that a year ago I would have been like so stoked to even have this opportunity be possible. So like, I'm not going to be feeling negative emotion, or I'm going to try not to feel negative emotions about it. I'm going to invert it and say, I'm not worried that I'm going to fuck up the project. I'm extremely happy that I have this opportunity, and I'm excited that I can take the one next step to make myself a better programmer, to make myself a better person, to make myself more successful in business, and all that stuff. So that was another, I don't know how I segued into that, but that was one of the other things that Dain was talking about, inverting. So we had the steps. We were talking about the steps. We were talking about inverting. Maybe I'll take a look at my notes now. It's cool that I remembered a lot of the stuff we talked about. So let's see here. Everything. Yeah, we were talking a lot about social anxiety and not being able to talk to people. Like, a lot of us want to be able to socialize, and it can be extremely hard to socialize. And what we want to do is just like take it in small chunks, just like any other goal. And what Dain was saying is that we want to like go out and make a micro mission, is what he called it. Micro mission for ourselves to achieve to the next step. Like what is it that I can do like socially, like on a Saturday or on a Sunday tomorrow? What can I do to move myself to like, so I'm very, very small, much smaller, better than I was like the day before. That way we can like, after a day, it feels like you've made no progress, or like at least you'll think that it feels that way. But then at the end, you're going to be like, oh, and after you do this a few times, it's going to be like, oh, well, look, I succeeded. I said I was going to do something and I did it. That means like that I can say something and then that I can go and do it, and I will do it. And Dain brought up this important point that when you say that you're going to do something and then you don't do it, you just feel bad afterwards. And this is like with all people. So like what you want to do is that you want to keep training yourself to say, I am a person who sets a goal, and it doesn't matter even if it's like a super small goal. It's just something that like it's even if it's a super small goal, it's the fact that we can consistently deliver a success on what we're doing, and that is going to keep giving us this like momentum, and it's going to be able to get us closer every time. And like the fact is, like, we can't take the steps in jumps, but we can do it in small steps. So that's what I'm going to be working on, focusing on, and socially I'm going to be going out and see, like, I went out today and talked to people to make myself able to socialize better. And the way I started was just like complimenting somebody as I'm walking by, like, oh, that's a nice shirt you have, or whatever. And sometimes like a lot of the people most people are just happy when you give them a compliment. Sometimes it's weird, and like especially if you have like weird scared energy or something, because you're afraid of talking to people, you might not be getting a great response. But the point is just like not that you're doing it to get things out of people. And this is something else Dain was talking about. You're not doing the action to get the result from people, but you're doing it. You want to be doing things to, I mean, you can be out to get you can be out to do your micro mission, and that is like getting a result for yourself. But you don't have to come from the mindset of that I want to like do it, get something out of somebody. So like you could just say, oh, I want to go out and make somebody laugh, or I want to go out and make 10 people laugh. Like you can look at somebody in the eye and then pretend to trip, and then like you just both laugh or something. But anyway, this is getting like a little confusing for me to talk about. But basically, like going out, starting small, like, oh, hi, you got a nice shirt, and then later like, oh, hey, what are you doing here in town? Or you can build upon the easiest thing to do, and then like make them a little bit better each time. So that was something else we talked about. Let me see if there's some other stuff here. Yeah, it was I think that was mostly the feeling that we were talking about there. And just the fact that one of my missions I got from Dain is to write down health, wealth, love, and happiness. What are the 4 places you are right now in 4 columns, and where you want to be? And then that's like the sheet we were talking about. This is a sheet, and then we'll have like a transparent overlay, like on a projector screen. On top of that, we're going to have the strategies, like how to improve each time, the micro missions, whatever. The strategies can change, but the goals don't change on the bottom. So that way we can like keep innovating, but we don't have to change we don't want to change the goals. We just want to have the goals be solid. And Dain said, if you don't have the goals written down in these 4 columns, you have a problem. Like you have to have them written down. And this is something Joe Rogan talks about too. You have to write down your goals, have them somewhere. I have my goals written down in a lot of places, but I think what would be a great idea is just to write them down and then like probably frame them and put them up on the wall, so it's just like something permanent. And then that would actually, that would make it even more serious. I think maybe I'll probably do that. Go to the thrift store and get a frame, and then I can just get that up there, because I've pinned things to the wall before, and it doesn't feel the same as I feel like it would if you frame it in glass. It's really like you're taking it to the next level when you do that, and then that way you can change the goals maybe if you want to, but really you want to have something solid that you're always like taking steps towards, and then that way you can see the goals and you can see your progress, and that's going to be able to, instead of this like chaotic space in my mind, and like a lot of us have, like we don't know where we're going, we don't know where we're not really sure of the progress we're making. If we're able to like see the progress and see the steps that we've made, it's going to be like so helpful in getting us there. So that's all I wanted to say about that, and thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.